How about this? Who is in charge in your relationship, in your marriage? Who get the final say? When it come down to it, when you can't agree, who get the final say? I got an idea. Before we get started, what you think of that? You got an idea?
I have an idea.
Is it true though? Is what we thinking true? Does it handle in reality to what goes on? When you came up, what was the order?
God.
Okay, God. Number one, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
What else you got?
I would probably say it's supposed to be the father and then the mother, the husband and the wife.
Okay, all right, God for the mother. All right. Does that play out in reality? What causes it to go off the rim? We look at a couple areas today. Ask the real questions of where we fall in that place. I know most of us had that same umbrella. You may have seen the umbrella. I think I shared that too. Just umbrella, God, husband, father, children, and all those things.
Or it could be God, and if it's only the mom in the home, the mother. Yeah.
So, show me that umbrella. What would that be like?
It would be God and then the mother.
Okay, God, mother, then what else?
And then the kids.
Oh, so we'll break it down. What is it like for y'all? What is it like for you? What happens in those moments? What throws it awry when you get to that place? And if you just joining us for the very first time, I'm Mr. a.k.a. Jeffrey Mister. And you listen to the Mr. and Mrs. Mister podcast. We believe we're trying to bring 7 million couples together.
I'm Mrs. Mister, a.k.a. Dana
Hold on, I was
Mister.
finna kick. See that? You see how they went off the rail right there? I was about to kick it to you. I was trying to get. You tried to kick to you before that, did, huh?
Yeah.
So I was trying to set you up to go.
Okay.
And then see how she jumped in. No, we ain't got to back it with.
No.
This is a good place for the day right here. What's going on?
Go ahead.
And so to the side of me, to the right of me, before I was so rudely interrupted, is.
Mrs. Mister, a.k.a. Dana Mister.
Now don't be shy now. Don't be shy.
No,
because you weren't shy when you was ready to jump in there.
No.
So don't be shy now. Don't be shy. So yeah, welcome. If you haven't, stop for a moment, hit that subscribe button, whether you're listening or you're watching, hit that subscribe button. Tell somebody about the best relationship and marriage podcast in the world. Let's get to it. Now we're talking about, man, that order system. And I know you said you jumped used to the umbrella. Sometimes the man is missing and the woman have to step up.
Absolutely.
Or if the woman missing.
Yeah, the man have to step up. Well, the man is already supposed to be up.
So this, I think I want to jump into that first piece right there. So we've seen a lot of different relationships now. You've been seeing some relationships, make it, not make it.
Yeah, the relationship, the way the relationships are now is we live in a diverse world right now.
It is tough to do it. And I thought a lot about this. I thought a lot about this for this episode. And I was thinking, like, what is it that throws it off? If we have that system, God, and then the man, the husband, the wife, the kids, and all those things in the traditional setting, where do we go left? Where does the struggle, where does it say it's easier to say than it is to do? I thought about this so Dana normally plans our anniversary. And anniversary coming up, not soon, but like a little soon like that. Normally plans anniversary trip coming up. And so I was able to plan it for the first time in a while, I think, right? First time in a while. I think it turned out pretty smooth. We haven't been on the trip yet, so we'll see if it's a horrible disaster. But right now, on paper, it got a chance to get to it. I thought it was
on paper because it's financially savvy to where he wants
it. Is it not where you? So you don't want it? So did you not agree to it?
I mean, of course, I'm just going with the flow.
That's not the question. The question is, did you not agree to it, man?
Of course I did.
Put the glove on. Put the glove on.
I agreed to it, because I'm just like, hey,
You said, but? You said, hold on, what'd you say?
No, I'm just saying, just go with it. Just go with it.
Yeah. So, and it made me think about,
But I think another thing too, for the most part, everyone knows that if you are in a traditional setting, it means that husband, wife, children, is God, the husband, the wife, the children, everything else, right?
Yep.
So I think most people who are aware of that, they know that's typically how it flows. I believe at the end of the day, I believe when in a situation where you are in that traditional setting, like I believe, we both agree, okay, Dana's gonna make decisions on this, Jeffrey's gonna make decisions on that. But if it's something that becomes a conflict, unfortunately, ladies, the decision must.
Oh, hold on. Let me be quiet.
Set with the husband. Not unfortunately, it's fortunate.
So hold on. Say that. I want to because that's the part I want to get into.
Okay.
Say that last sentence again.
So fortunately for us, the decision must rest with the husband.
Ooh.
Because that's the way that God ordained it, and that's the way that God designed it. Now, of course,
somebody don't be
sitting there right there talking about, well, what if something that's gonna be put us in danger? Okay, come on, let's use common sense. If you feel like your husband gonna drive y'all off somewhere into the of the bridge, of course, don't follow that. But what I'm stating is, if your husband of a sound mind, let me put it like that, if he's of sound mind, and that if you guys are in a traditional biblical relationship, then it has to rest with them, and I know that's a struggle. That's a struggle for me. I'm gonna be totally honest with you because I grew because of the way I grew. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, that's what I want to be able to ask you a question back and forth in a second. I love where you go in there. I appreciate the transparency and honesty there. And I feel like that's where a lot of women struggle. A lot of men struggle like that. We get into.
Or some men struggle with Ashley trying to take the lead.
And that's true.
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of men have not seen men take the lead.
Yeah.
In those cases. And so many women have seen women take the lead. Like you said, there's umbrella. If you're watching this thing, this is a great graphic. I don't know if y'all can see that or not.
You have to embed it.
Yeah, I see if I can embed that. If not, we'll see. I'll post this on the Instagram page on the Mr. MRS.MISTER. So, but it has Christ, husband, and it has wife and children. It has different roles for each of them. And I thought about this for this, of just what you said, of when it comes down to it, who get the final say? Who is like, if you think about a corporation, right? And so you may have some people have a meeting. At the end of the day, who decides what happens in that place? I thought about that in a family structure, and I feel like somebody riled up right now. You don't know who I'm living with. You don't know who I'm talking to. And I think you made a good example of that. You were saying something I want to get into. You were saying it's tough for those. But before we get to that, I wanted to break down the roles of. All right, so God, Christ, you got husband as to protect the family. It says lead the family and provide for the family. And then you got the wife, which is, you want to say the wife?
Yeah, the wife is to comfort, to teach, and to nurture.
And the children, just act a fool, eat up all the groceries.
Love the parents and obey the parents. Yeah, that's the
you know how that go. You see how that go.
So, and I think the reason why, a couple of things I realized, because one of the initial questions is, how do we get off? How do most people get off? Well, a couple of things. I think roles have changed, right? Because according to this, the husband role is to protect the family, lead the family, and to provide for the family, right? Well, that role, that providing role, has kind of changed now, right? Because you have more dual incomes. You have, women who are making more than the husband. So I think that role has changed, right? And it's not to say you can't negate the fact that the husband is still a provider, right? Even though now you both may be providing financially, but the thing about it is that he still is the provider for the family.
That's where it comes in at.
Yeah.
And now a lot more women are making more money than the man coming in. And so that can lead to the woman saying, well, I'm the breadwinner in this situation.
Y'all wouldn't do that. Women don't.
They would do that when they was I'm the breadwinner now. And that dynamic sometimes can shift of saying if the female in that situation made more money than that husband then, does that shift the dynamic? So if you made
it can shift because I think it's just not. It's not intentionally done. It's not like, well, I'm making more money. I think just over time, like, I look at it like this because I told Jeff before.
Let me sit up straight.
I told Jeff before. I think when we was talking, contemplating whether I was gonna come and be at home and all of that stuff.
Stay at the house.
And
she said, I'm finna set it go, let it go.
So
stay at the
we
house.
talked about that, right? And so then I just came to the conclusion, though. He was like, yeah, you could come to the house. And he was like, but these are the things that will have to change.
Ooh.
And basically he was laying out like, you can't eat out. You know,
you a certain amount of time, it's going to have to fall within the budget.
No, it would start. No.
But did you go about an order?
And then he was like, you can't take some of these trips and vacations.
Yeah, I was about to say, you got to.
So it was just best for me and our marriage for me to continue to work. So, and I think another thing too, like, I think it goes back to how we were brought up, right? And so, again, you guys know my story. I grew up in a home where for 12 years it was just my mom and I. Uh-huh. So, of course, she made the decision. She didn't have to report.
She didn't have to go in
and I didn't use the word report. She didn't have to. You know, she didn't have to get it vetoed or communicate.
Veto. How does it feel when a man go and veto something?
Yeah. So, but I think, even looking at your mom, you were in a 2-person household, but your mom still made a lot of the decisions.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, my dad was more just kind of go with the flow kind of thing, and so my mom would make a lot of decisions, you know, through finance and all those things like that. My dad was just like, Lord, I got some money to get me something, get what I need to get. I'm good to go. He was, you know, simple to the extent of just, you know, I don't need a lot of stuff, so whatever you do, I trust it. I don't know what the back, you know, conversation was like, but that's just what, you know,
you saw.
What I too. So, but growing up, I wanted to be more of this sense of like, you know what, I'm financially sound. I'm of sound mind and body, like you said earlier. And so,
make sure your husband's sound mind and your wife too.
So, but that's subjective because some people like, well, he ain't sound today, so I'm gonna go ahead and go to Target. I'm gonna go swipe this card at Target. But I think my vision was, let me be as strong of a person before I get married coming in so that I can be that CEO figure, if that's a good word. I know these words are tricky.
And we use these words. We use it. We like
CEO, CAO, CEO.
And I said, chief executive. CEO and CFO. So I was the chief family officer.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there you go. That's right. Yeah. So, but with that comes conflict. And the conflict we would have is like Danny mentioned, like, well, it might be good for me to just keep working on it if that's the case, to get those things down. Or it could just be like, all right, well, this is what we have to do. I was reading a book of saying that it was saying some women want all of the basics and all those things provided for by their husband, their space, so they could use their funds for, I guess, Target or whatever. I don't know where y'all buy y'all stuff. The thing is, and I thought about that. That's the book I wanted to read together. What are your thoughts there? Is that true? Do you feel like that's true? Or do you feel like
absolutely? If somebody can provide for my basic needs.
Well, you don't have to pay no bills.
No. Because I do believe there are certain things. Now, some women, kudos. I mean, some women have it made where they don't have to pay any bills, including like their car notes or anything like that. Now, for me, I'm of the mindset, because I know how I am. It has nothing to do with Jeffrey. It's everything to do with Dana. I know how I am. I do want to. It is. So, I know I want the type of car that I want. So my thing is, I wouldn't expect for Jeffrey to.
Yeah, what's wrong with that two-seater? What's wrong with that two-seater?
To pay towards it, because I already know how Jeffrey's mindset is. Jeffrey's like, we're gonna ride this car till the wheels fall off. All of that stuff.
But it's not a double standard. Like I see some guys do this. They be like, well, I'm gonna get the Ferrari for myself, and if I'm paying all the bills, since my wife is not working like that. Like, she may be working for the family, but that's a full-time job if you're doing it in a sense. So I'm gonna get that since I'm in the corporate America, whatever I'm doing, and I'll get my wife the 74 Gremlin that or the
But I have to give it to Joe. I have to give it to you. Like, you always making sure that I am in the newer vehicle, or I make sure
that's something too. And that's something too. And we're recording this on the week of Father's Day, and so whenever you listen to this, I want to think about, why does the man always have to get the older vehicle?
No, it's not always.
No. I don't say always. I just say the majority of the time. This is not just for us. I'm just saying, just for a lot of things. And the reason I've heard from people is that it's safer for the wife to be in a newer vehicle.
Yeah,
and
most men would say that.
Yeah, you don't want to be
most men would say that because I think it goes back to protecting the family, right?
Yep.
So my thing is, and another thing too, most of the time the mother, the wife has a kid, so you taking them to, it's just in most traditional settings.
That's what I want to get to.
That's usually what it is. It's usually the wife usually has the kids. She's taking them to the errands and to the games and all of that stuff. Well, at least the practices, and then everybody meet up for the real deal, the game. But that's typically how it's done in traditional settings.
That's what I wanted to say, because you mentioned earlier about now, like providing for would be both. Before it's typically the male would bring home the thing. Yeah. The wife would be more of a homemaker with her too. I know y'all burn your bras, so I'm not going there.
Yeah. So I think now, just like the dual role for providing the family goes resting both of us. Yeah. I think also the teaching part rests on both now. Because, for example, like, while I'm at work, Jeff has been teaching them, like, in Joe Jackson Academy.
Hold on, let me do it. You don't know the commercial like this. Mr. and Mrs. Joe Jackson Academy, where our motto is, we beat the brakes off ignorance. And so, like you said there, the teaching on mine, since I have been a teacher, I'm a teacher, and I work
that falls on both of us now. Yeah. I teach them about life. Jeff them teach them on books and education and all this stuff.
When you say life, what does that mean?
Like just different things, just exposing them to different cultures and that sort of thing.
Okay, cool. And so that's where I think those things give and take. What I've heard from men is that now they're expected to do some of the nurturing side of those things. Like now I think
well, I think my only thing is I don't necessarily expect for you to take on the whole thing of nurturing, because I think naturally women, God created us to be nurturers for the most part. Like for most women, we are naturally nurturers. We don't have to think about it. It just comes naturally, right? But I do believe one thing, and it can get kind of tricky, is what I would love for more men to do is to teach our sons. Like, I think there's some things that you need to show them as a man, right? Because I think growing up, we talk about this all the time, where little boys were taught, don't cry, don't say anything, but man up, all that stuff. So I think you do have to, I want our little boys to learn to embrace their emotion of where they are. I'm not saying to sit in it, but what I am saying is like it's okay for them to cry and just help them work through that. And I believe I do my best with Jace, but I believe it's something that as a man or as a father, I think, you showing him, okay, it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to cry. It's okay to have these emotions. It's okay to have these emotions so you learn how to work through them.
Yeah. I think it's a balance what you're saying too. I think there's a thing of doing both of those. It's also like a lot of boys are raised as single mom, regardless of the situation, right? So not to point blaming any situation there, but they're raised there and teaching in schools and working in schools. You see a lot of the byproduct of that. Not to blame that on the female there, but a lot of it comes from they also need that support that the mom will provide. Like when you fall and something, hey, what's going on? You also need the fact of that the push through. I don't know if that's a word. Push through.
To push through.
Yeah, to be able to persevere. Be able to persevere through that side. So it's like the nurturing side sometimes doesn't allude to that. And you need that balance. You need somebody who's going to be like, oh, I care for you, I love you. But also you can be like, get your tail up when you be able to, you know what I'm saying, to be able to balance those. I think that's where those things happen. And I think that's why it's so important for marriages to continue to work on your marriage. Because if not, you tend to, and it naturally works that way. Natural cycle, you're like, man, they don't love me, or I don't love them no more. It's the fact of, that's the natural order of things if you're not feeding what you're doing there. That's why this show, this podcast, there's things in marriage of how you continue to grow.
And I want to jump in there. Even if you just say, hey, look, Dana and Jeff, I understand what you're saying, but marriage just not going to work. And that's fine. For sure. Okay, that's what you guys have agreed upon. But as a father, don't leave your kids. Or as a mother, don't leave your kids. Like, make sure you still have a good co-parenting relationship to work through that. Because one thing about it that I have learned is, like, I've seen people who had amazing co-parenting situations. The kids have grown up, they've developed well, all of that stuff. I've seen, people who have persevered as a result of still being in a single parent household. They have issues. So, you know what I'm saying? We have issues. But the thing about it is you persevere through that, right? So, and then I've seen it where, like, I think so, but I think it's just so important that even if you say, hey, we're decided not to work out, don't let that impact your relationship with your kids.
Sure.
I think that's the main thing.
Great point. So, who gets the final say? I want to go into some particulars, kind of talk about those. We kind of alluded to some of it. We talk about some real things y'all talk about. I know I hear from y'all all the time on these situations. So, finances. Finances. Their money. So,
okay.
hold on. Let me present this. I want you to tell me who gets the final say, or.
Well, I think you have to set it up, though.
Okay.
I think the main thing is when you are in a marriage, right, you both are communicating with each other.
Hopefully so. That's the plan, yeah.
Well, that's the plan. Like, whether you having family meetings or whatever the situation is, in any scenario, you need to be having family meetings and you need to communicate with each other. And then at the end of the day, it's like we're going to communicate with each other. I'm going to get your feedback or get your feedback. And then ultimately, like I state, that ultimately it has to... again, it rested on some things, I guess, in these areas here. On these areas here, protect the family, provide the family. It's for the husband. For the comfort, teaching, and nurture, it's for the wife. So yeah.
Let's jump into it then. So on the finances then, let's say, because this is the real thing. You guys don't agree on, I want a target budget of $400 a month. I gotta have that $400. The husband, I'm saying it's the wife. I just said it's the wife. The husband says, $250 is the best I can do. All right. So,
baby, you gonna just take your $250 and make it work?
Ooh.
I'm just saying.
I'm with you. I'm with you. But what I'm saying is,
because I think again, it goes back to when you guys are having this meeting, right? And you guys have to communicate and be on the same page. Like, you have to say, whether you put all your money in the pot and you break it down by percentages, where she gets her extra, men, if you're generous, a month or so, maybe say, okay, baby, for January, because we just coming out of Christmas, I give you $250. But maybe during the summer, I give you the $400 to $500, $600. So I think it comes back to communicating and compromising.
Yeah. So, but when that doesn't happen, what are some of the things that people do when those things?
Well, that's when
you got your trunk full of your clothes right now. You got it plastic. You trying to take the tags out and make it seem like, oh, baby, you ain't seen this before. I've been had this before. Or fellas, I'm not regular ladies.
Because he get packages every day. It's not me.
No.
Jeff get packages every day. Every time I look at Jeff, I'm like, you got some new Jordans. Jeff has gone from having no pants and Jordans to like many pants.
Oh, wait, hold on.
But he worked hard.
Hold on. Can I speak?
Don't talk to me about my
See what I'm saying? That's not the point I'm trying to make here. I was trying to go to the fellas before we tried to jump to there. Was the fact of the fellas too, if you're paying for whatever without thinking about the budget, like what goes awry is when you guys make a decision and you do something counteractive to that decision.
Yeah.
And you go out, you fill your trunk up, or you go and go golf, and that's when it comes. It's like I don't trust you with those things, or and it erodes the trust of like now I'm coming in with a little bitterness in the next budget meeting we have in this place. So it's like
because you agreed upon something and then you counteract that. And I think another thing too is this goes back to for example, if you just like, hey, Jeff wants these Jordans, which let me just go ahead and to help you everybody out, just go ahead and set up your own individual. Like I think when you're doing your overall budget, just go ahead and set play that like this is Jeff play money, this is Dana play money. That way Jeff can't dictate what Dana do with her play money, and Dana can't dictate what Jeff do with his play money. And I think that right there would just solve a whole bunch of issues. You just
gotta stay within the. So you got yours.
Yeah.
If you are like some people can get. I remember growing up, and I had siblings who would get the same Snicker bar or something. Some would be gone before we make it home, and some would last at that time. So it's like you would be envious of the person who's last. Like, look at you ain't gonna eat yours. Like I just had it for 15 minutes, and there'd be no problem. But I think it's that of just learning. And if you single right now, you're like, okay, I'm trying to prepare myself to be married. Start learning to say this is what I'm gonna do and live within that. Don't do like this. Like you know what? I'm only gonna eat one potato chip, and then you eat 4 bags. It's those little things set you up for when once you pop. Hello, they would set you up for once you pop. Then hey, it's gonna be a tough situation right there. But being able to be saying this is what I'm saying I'm gonna do. So all right, finance. Now in terms of all right, what's another phase in terms of marriage where this can kind of come around? We talk about the money side of it. I want to flip it back on the other side in terms of like comfort would be kind of like the house roles or whatever, right? So it's like, who's expected in those gender roles typically? You know what I'm saying?
So
like,
let me talk to y'all about that. Let me talk to y'all about that because
it could be cooking, cleaning.
Okay, so my thing is everyone's busy. Everybody. The whole world.
It's some people not. Some people sit.
For the most part, most of us are pretty busy, right? So I never forget a couple of. Well, I got two scenarios. One scenario was, you know, I was extremely busy. Business is good. Everything. Kids in school. You're just running around. And I was like, man, Jeff, I really need somebody to come in and help me once a month to clean the house, right? And he was like, no, you don't got to do that. You don't got to do that. I was like, no.
I said it twice.
I don't know how many times you said it, but you said it.
No, I'm saying you said it. Go ahead.
But I was like, you know, I really need somebody to come in once a month. I'm not asking something for every week or anything like that, but just kind of like help, like get the floors really clean, you know, do the bathrooms really good, all of that stuff. And so, but he just could not understand. And I was like, look. For me, it's like, this is as my role as the mother.
That's what it said. It don't say no how. I was like, this role say that the wife do this.
Yeah. So, as my role as a wife, like,
don't say nothing about that.
Yeah, so as my role as a wife, I feel like it was okay for me to make the decision, like to say, okay, look, I understand what you're saying, but right now I need the help. Right. I needed the help. I needed the help for my peace of mind. I needed the help for everything that was going on in my life at the time. And so, you know, they came in. They've been with us for a couple of years now, you know, and then...
It's been that long.
And then Jeff be like, but you get the house already clean.
And
but
so
let me, now, I'm like, your stuff can't be on the floor.
I'm going to say something real quick. So, it's like going to the dentist. This is what happens. Coming up. She'd be that thing flossing the gum out of her teeth right before going to. It'd be like before they come, she'll be clean. I was like, just put in your mind like they coming and do the cleaning. The only thing that would be done would be like floors and restrooms stuff like that. But I was like, you have it in you. The power is within you. And so, but I was alluding to the fact of like, okay, now in those gender roles, typically discussing what those gender roles are. And so if it's God, husband, wife, children, and so now we talk about finances, now flip it over to like who's doing it. Some people don't have, you know, people that'll be coming to kind of clean, so it's like it's a shared role, or it falls on one person at that point in time. And so that one person can be like, man, if I could have my husband just wash one load of clothes, or wash one load of dishes, or I'm having to take a trash out, whatever in that situation. So for men, I try to do a balance of also being able to listen and say, if you ask a question of saying, what is the role that you would typically have in this umbrella that you need support in, and vice versa too.
And for those, and it's so funny you keep saying gender roles, but you know, some people relationship they just throw gender roles out the window.
And they in some it functions well of like, you know what, we see dishes there, and if I see them I do them. And some is like, I know you see dishes there, so why you didn't get them to? But I think whatever you're thinking, I'm not proposing gender roles for anybody. I'm just proposing there are things to get done, and what tends to lead to divorce is I feel like I'm unseen. I feel like you don't love me if you don't do these things. Mm-hmm. And so whether that is sex, whether that is doing household chores, whether that is getting the house clean, you may need some support there, whether that's whatever, is being able to communicate that to your spouse and feeling like you're being heard and feel like there's some type of action that's going on. What builds resentment is, let's say you saying, I don't feel seen, and I'm coming to you every day. Man, why did this thing wash? Why this stuff ain't clean? And then you feel like I'm working, and it can build resentment, to that place of doing it. And that's what I'm saying. So whoever do it, as long as it's agreed on and not something that's just, you know, like, oh, I'm going to keep doing it because they not.
I felt like I became my mother. It's like when the summer first happened, right? Because the people had came, everything was clean, all of that stuff. And then, you know, we came back. I went to work, all of that stuff. I came home. The kids had stuff everywhere. Jeff had stuff everywhere. And I said, I was on the phone with my mama. And I was just like, this don't make no sense. I literally feel like I became Gigi.
Ready to go to that moment.
Because, you know, for me, it was like, okay, I've been at work all day. I know the house is clean. I come home and like the living room got babies and stuff everywhere. Jeff is over here on the table, and like it's papers and stuff strewn all the way out. And I'm just like, okay. And so it was so funny. My mama was like, well, make them get it up. I said, you know what? Y'all get in here and get this stuff.
I I think that's where it typically reverts. So let's say a man is expecting like a clean house when you're coming through, and he comes home from work. He's like, "What you been doing all day?" And somebody who's a wife would be like, "You don't understand the day that's been going on." I think that's great for a woman to see that in reverse, and you see how it sounds like. What expectation do you have? Do you expect? So this is for men too. When you expect your wife, let's say she is at home with the kids all day, you come home like you expect dinner to be, clothes to be washed, towels to be folded up, everything to be pristine.
I want it all.
But that, this is what y'all said on the platform. I Googled y'all as a women term. Y'all said that is the wrong expectation. Instead of you complaining about it, you come in and pick that broom up.
I made change my mind. I promise you. When I came in,
your woman car about to get pulled.
My woman coming to get pulled because I'm like, look, I've been at work all day. The most I want is to come in to clean house. You got to cook, but especially the most I want is to clean house.
Traditionally, that's what men have been coming home to.
No, they wanted everything. I don't need to do it. I can swing my Chick-fil-A or wherever else. I don't really discuss that.
It goes there, and lastly, in terms of children, how they rear, who helps there in that situation. And so now I know men are taking on a lot more roles in that situation. For the most part, that you may be like, you don't know my household, mister. It's not working the same way, but being able to co-work in those of what role takes and what question do you need to ask right now. Here's a couple questions we'll give you a leave out, but just thinking about, okay, where do I need support in? And if you think about the husband, you may be saying, my husband don't make enough. And I will ask this, are you living above your means? Are you living up to say, you know what, I got to have an 8-car garage, I got to have 9 bathrooms, and you got to have all those things. If you downsize, would it be enough? The book I was reading saying that if you were just living off the husband's income, could you all survive in this situation? If it takes both y'all just to make the last penny stretch, maybe there's some things you can cut in the situation. For the wife situation, is there something that you need support in? I say wife, it may be the husband, because the woman may be working, he may be at home, kids whatnot too. But is there anything that you need support in? So when she come in, I'll see you that situation come in. What y'all got here? What I could use is, you know what, my day has been asking about those things.
That's my topic, but I can't.
And that's
a whole nother story.
But what I'm saying, the point is, regardless of the person, I'm glad that Dana said this because y'all won't. If I say it, I come home from work. Well, you need to be clear. You need to wash clothes. Y'all been every episode. And it comes in. Y'all need to be. Men need to be stepping up. When it's reversed, like you know, she work hard. And that is the symbolism toward women is disgusting. Well, we'll move forward. So you get this way. But whoever that person is communicating saying, you know what? So if you coming in and you the man or you the woman coming in and you've been out and the person been inside, you say, hey, what can I do to help this situation here? Mm-hmm. Instead of coming in, this house should be spick and span. Y'all ain't did nothing all day. Well, you don't know what's been happening to that situation. Oh, I'm glad you said that. Now, look at you. You said that woman card is full. You won't be invited to no more women's house.
That's fine. If you at home working from home, you need to make sure this house.
See, you have no idea what's going on. And so lastly, in terms of the children thing, being able to raise the children, of thinking through of like where does those things, and being able to talk about and find a compromise so you don't over invest in the kids and not invest in who you are. So many, I talked to a lot of older couples that say, man, we spent like 15 years being taxi cabs for kids, and now we don't know each other when those kids are gone. But they gonna go off and find their own spouse and be out there living, and y'all be looking at each other like, why she breathing? Why he chewing? And so being able to communicate and get those things. So who has the last say? And if you're going by this order right here, you go on here. First, if I can link up with God first, let's do devotion together, let's get together. The husband next with sound mind. And don't you rationalize that. And if not there, you chose him. You chose him, so get to that place. And wife there, not a subordinate, but in terms of like, I was reading to the Bible, they're saying, wives submit to your husband, but it's like both submitting to each other. And that, I think that's left out of there.
Yeah.
And it's the fact of not to be served, but to serve each other. Yeah. And that's a huge piece that we get to the place. And then
because honestly, if the husband relationship is right with this one, then this relationship will be well.
Mostly. Yeah. And it may take work. Like you said, you may have only seen your mom, like we've only seen like the mom doing a lot of those things is in charge. And I always wonder about if our moms were with somebody like me, would it have been more conflict?
No, my mom wouldn't be able to.
She wouldn't be able to? Your mom be able to take them out like me?
She'd be like,
no, she ain't playing you.
I don't know.
We'll ask Jesus to say, but it's like, but a lot of people come from those situations. They've only seen that. So when you have a man who's trying to say, hey, Now we don't need to spend this, but we're trying to save for. We're trying to build our credit up. We need to make sure we pay the credit card bills out. Who you think you talk? Because now
I'm listen to that man when he say that. Listen to that man. He trying to
swallow down to get you in the right place. So if that's not you, be able to do that. So who's in charge of your relationship? Have that conversation. If you watch this by yourself, watch or listen by yourself, listen with them. Y'all had this conversation. Ask yourself those questions because it's interesting. You may be thinking something. They may be thinking something. Let's get on one course so we can live and live more abundant. So we appreciate y'all. If you have not, go hit that subscribe button, like it, pass it to somebody else who is dealing with. We all deal with this, whether you single or not like that. Because we been almost 16 years in the game. I'm like, we had those conversations. Still in this situation like that.
Put this looking at each other like this.
And you gotta put this smack down. That's smack down. So if you all get through this episode, which you probably did or you're about to, look at each other in the eyes and say these three things to Mr. Mantra.
I like you, I love you, and I want you. Now let me go to work.
And bring home my money. So I love y'all, man. Listen, keep following us on social media to tell somebody else about the wonderful this whole podcast. We want to reach 7 million couples. We can't do that without you. By word of mouth is the best form of advertising. Like this, drop a comment too to help the algorithm if you're on YouTube because these folks be tripping. Love y'all, man. God loves you. Ain't nothing you can do about that. Whoop, whoop. Like, subscribe. Listen, it's free and it helps us reach 7 million couples all around the world. Tap it.